Breath of the Wild has a quote, "When the two become one, the shrine will appear." If we take the idea of a shrine being a body of the divine and we reinterpreted this quote based on Shinto lore, it could easily be rewritten to instead be, "When the two hearts, aka two kokoro, the two souls become one, the goddess will appear." Going a step further, it could also infer, "When the two princesses become one, the true goddess will be reborn." Zelda and Midna. Two princesses from completely parallel realities converging with one another. A princess of the bright golden light and a princess of twilight, veiled in the shadows of darkness. In Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, particularly the newest trailer, we see Ganondorf, but not an enraged beast, but instead a fully cognizant being, speaking and sharing his intentions to destroy all life in Hyrule. Additionally, we see the Ouroboros, the dragon, eating its own tail, symbolizing the interconnected nature of the Zelda timelines, aka the time loop of the entire Zelda timeline, having Skyward Sword as the head, the beginning of the end, and the tail being bitten by the dragon mouth is what we speculate as Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, the end of the beginning. A sequel to Breath of the Wild and the entire Zelda timeline, whilst additionally being a prequel to it as well, an inversed paradoxical version of Skyward Sword. Now, the question I ask in all this is where the heart of the princess, or princesses I should say, fits into all this. Maybe I should be more specific. I believe that after all this time, after all the trailer releases, Nintendo is still holding out on us, and that we are going to receive a game that touches all worlds, all timelines, all at once, and that at the absolute core of all of this is the light, Twilight, and Zelda, Link, and maybe, just maybe, Midna, or another Twilight princess from Lorule, aka Twilight Realm, aka Termina. Yes, it's complicated when you have three names from separate timelines for the same reality, isn't it? Anyway, before we continue, please subscribe if you haven't already and share this video. This video has a lot of love put into it from our Patreon supporters and also from the one and only Elfie. All that said and done, grab a cup of funk juice and a solid dose of copium and let's theorize about Midna returning in Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. In Twilight Princess, Midna is seen traversing space with traversable wormholes and even takes Link through them. This is a power she alone has, and it's inherently Twilight magic as we see Link and Midna break apart, becoming bodies of Twilight particles, and then reconstituting later on. Adding to this, we know that the Mirror of Twilight is a sacred relic, and that Midna uses this mirror to traverse back to the Twilight world before shattering it. She alone is the only one who can shatter the Mirror of Twilight because she is the Twilight Princess. Furthermore, it's shown she is in fact worthy of the Triforce of Wisdom because at the time, Zelda revived Midna by gifting Midna her light spirit. Midna then received a huge power boost from Zelda's piece as demonstrated when she completely bodies Zant and handles Ganon, only to completely lose to Ganon later on in a second altercation after Zelda's spirit was returned, thus showing that clearly Midna thought she still had the power boost. Now, the thing we need to clearly glean from all of this is that Midna is the Twilight Princess, the Princess of Lorule. Zelda is the Light Realm Princess, the Princess of Hyrule, and that Midna was in fact worthy of Zelda's Triforce piece, the Triforce of Wisdom, thus showing they are both able to use the Triforce of Wisdom and that they originate from separate Hylias in separate worlds. If Midna's powers to create traversable wormholes, folding space to travel within only a singular timeline exists, and Midna has a mirror that also creates portals, then isn't there something then to be said about Zelda's powers as well? Zelda has always focused on the power to traverse time and space, completely new realities with new timelines. The continuation of reality as it infinitely unfurls every plank second and the ability to traverse all of them. Where is Zelda's mirror artifact that allows her to traverse realities then? Well, it's simple. We see it in Skyward Sword, shown as the Gates of Time. Visually, both the Mirror of Twilight and the Gates of Time look very similar as well, and of course they would. The Twilight were a group obsessed with taking the powers of the gods like Hylia for themselves. They just couldn't create it to be nearly as powerful as Hylia's Gate of Time because they are just mortals toying with an omnipotent being's powers, all of which are completely beyond comprehension. That said, the place the Twilight hearken from is the alternate world to Hyrule, the Twilight Realm, which is known as Lorule in the Downfall timeline. For simplicity's sake, I'll be referring to the Twilight Realm as Lorule from this point onwards. Lorule and Hyrule exist as separate worlds, or realities, two separate forms of space with two separate forms of time. In gross oversimplification, space and time are really just planes within space in which our path through a given reality is. Now Lorule is an inverted reality, separate to Hyrule's reality, the mostly dark world with a small amount of light, greatly influencing Lorule, and the mostly light world with a small amount of evil, greatly influencing Hyrule. There is a princess somewhere for each reality, meaning there was likely once a Hylia for each reality as well. The Twilight Princess Midna, a character who is easily one of Zelda's best companions, when inverted like yin and yang, is reformed into the Light Force Princess, Princess Zelda. Midna may have had her time as a companion in Zelda Twilight Princess, but what if we could get our own companion form in Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, Princess Zelda? Would she have her own imp form like Midna? What shape would she take? Well, this is just an interpretation commissioned by our Patreon supporter Mindsight and drawn by the lovely Elfie, and it's amazing how well Zelda fits, but that aside, look at the dress Zelda wears in the latest trailer. Doesn't it remind you of the Twilight symbols seen on the throne and also weirdly of true form Midna's dress? Better yet, doesn't Zelda mention the ashes of Twilight in a cutscene? She even makes references to Skyward Sword as well as Ocarina of Time. We know that Zelda has always revolved around time travel and the light of hope and the continuation of all reality. We also know Midna has revolved around space and traversing any space in currently existing realities graced to exist by the light of Hylia. One might even say that Midna exists as, and within, the shadow of Zelda. I mean, she literally lives within the shadow planes underneath Hyrule, the reality of Lorule, a world plunged literally into twilight darkness. In the Downfall timeline, it actually happens because Lorule's inverted Triforce is destroyed, causing the balance of the land to be disrupted, and the Downfall timeline even has its own Twilight Princess, Princess Hilda. Now that all said, let's flash back to Midna destroying the Mirror of Twilight. She destroyed it, but was able to still traverse back to the Twilight Realm. She has the ability to travel regardless through space, and maybe, just maybe, we might see her make a return in Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, not as a dominant role, but perhaps as a supportive role. There isn't enough copium in the world to make me feel any better about not knowing if this is true, but at least we can be self-aware, right, thinkers? We know, though, factually, that time and time inversion portals through time and such are on the table, given that much has happened already within Zelda Breath of the Wild, Age of Calamity, and pretty much all across the Zelda timeline, and hinted in the trailers. What if in order to end the cycle of Demise's hatred, Link must, as theorized previously, go through every single trial of each hero in the past, returning to fight the same enemies, battle the same bosses, confront the same villains, but even further than that, consolidate, befriend, and add the power of all the previous Link's past friends who became sages, powerful beings, or just disappeared. To be specific, maybe Link will have to bridge the gaps between Lorule and Hyrule, the gaps between dimensions, unite the princess and the Twilight Princess together, allowing them to really become a singular entity, restoring perfect balance not simply to Hyrule, but to the entire universe and every single reality, causing a complete merge of not only the timelines, but a merging of two mortal incarnations of Hylia, thus allowing the one true Hylia from way back at the time of Skyward Sword to be well and truly reborn and powerful enough to confront the evil of Demise's hatred once and for all. The Princess of Space and the Princess of Time. Together they become Space-Time. Something that in the real world we consider one and the same, and maybe that's exactly it. Midna and Zelda are two sides of the same coin. It might just very well be that there wasn't actually two Hylias with two realities. Perhaps before the cycle, before Zelda, before Link, the real origin of the time loop began with Hylia splitting herself in two, splitting the land of Hyrule into two as well, splitting space and time in two, eventually into 3, 4, 5, till near infinite realities unfurled. The Gates of Time clearly tell us there is more than one reality already during Skyward Sword, and that both realities parallel each other. A world ravaged previously by the battle between Hylia and Demise, and a world prior to the battle not ravaged in which Hylia's mortal incarnation is born. Princess Zelda, along with Link, Hylia's chosen hero, likely chosen from the previous world ravaged by Demise. This hero is the same hero who is paradoxically written about in a legend before his legend has come to happen in his own time. It makes no sense, which means reality was already split and is already in a bootstrap paradoxical time loop before Skyward Sword's events even happen, and Hylia, Link, and Demise are all at the epicenter of this. Hylia is the space-time goddess, the light of continuation, the movement of time and shadowed by darkness of space. She isn't just a being that warps space and time. No, nothing near as simple. Hylia is an omnipresent being that is literally space-time itself. She is the source of the Ouroboros, the dragon eating its tail, and maybe that's it. Maybe that's why we will see virtually every timeline converge as one, perhaps even beginning again. Maybe we will finally see the true Hylia and the true origin of the Zelda timeline loop, because Link had to be the one at the end of the entire loop to once again be the hero who started it all in the first place. A bootstrap paradox is a time loop that has its origin source removed and cannot be discerned by its observers. Wait, that's it, that's the missing piece! The war that happened before Skyward Sword is totally the final battle that will not only end the cycle, but start it once again across space-time. Zelda will simultaneously unite with her Twilight Princess counterpart, become the one and true form of Hylia, at the end of the whole Zelda timeline loop, and somehow, some way, Hylia will shed her immortal self, reverting to become once more the princess and the Twilight Princess, and hopefully go on to live out the end of a closed-loop reality where the entire cycle ends on one side of the Gates of Time, and a whole other reality where it once again continues. That's why Skyward Sword has ancient tech, ancient temples that also turn fresh and new when reverted, because we already had a timeline split. Thinkers, the writing is on the walls, and I think it's clear that no matter how Zelda Tears of the Kingdom turns out, I really hope this Zelda theory for Zelda Tears of the Kingdom at least holds some truth. Look, I said it before, and I'll say it again. There isn't enough copium in the world to make me feel alright. Not until Zelda Tears of the Kingdom releases, and even then, thinkers, I'll be theorizing madly. Anyway, it's been crazy fun theorizing. Enjoy the hype, thinkers. Zelda Tears of the Kingdom will release soon, and I will be streaming it in all its entirety. Subscribe to the channel, follow me on Twitch so you don't miss the streams, and also so you don't miss any Zelda or Pokemon videos. Thinkers, if you enjoyed this video, let me know your thoughts in the comments below and hit that like button and subscribe. If you want to support the channel's content monetarily, you can join as a member on Patreon or join on YouTube. Both will get your name in the credits and behind the scenes access. Now before I head out, be sure to share some of that love and support around at my partner's Instagram at ElfSpringArt. Additionally, Elfie is now open for commissions publicly, so if you want something created, again, head down to their Instagram page. Give them a follow. Love ya, Elfie! Thinkers, have a big-brained, thonky day, and be sure to think safe out there. Bye-bye!